You are now listening to Awaken You with Shelley Bond. Welcome to my show where we explore ourselves. We talk about growth, healing, breath, life, yoga, failures and successes, intuition, inspiration, fears, manifestation, books, writing, motivation, food, parenting, inner child work, mindfulness. What are your thoughts? My love for healing with energy work, learning how to love myself, forgive myself, and know my own self-worth. I have a deep well inside to hold space and connect with women. And I have learned that awakening is for us all, especially for those of us who think that it's not. Waking up to our life's flaws and all is possible because, my friends, life is a practice. It's not a perfect. Welcome, my lovelies, to a brand new episode of Awaken You with Shelley Bond, and that's me. I'm here showing up, reflecting once again on all of these amazing topics. Sometimes it's hard to pinpoint one, and as you know, as you're getting to know me, that I never stay on one topic, but the general consensus of my mind today is, what does it mean to be a yogi? And if we don't fall in these parameters, are we no longer a yogi? The other day, I was at my sister's. It was my birthday, and I was sitting outside with my nephew, Kelton, who's 14. And he was just ranting on the most hilarious questions. He was like, I can't even remember. They were just sometimes the most absurd, obscene questions. One of the ones that he didn't ask, but I will ask, is this one is always such a great thought to ponder. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is there, does it make a sound? For that one, I always say, yeah, it makes a sound. It cracks, it falls, but no one's there to hear it. So is the sound, is there a sound? It's interesting. And I feel too, kind of grounding back to, what does it actually mean to be a yogi? I remember I started practicing yoga. It was 8 years ago. It was when Jackie was a baby, my youngest. And my girlfriend took me to the botanical gardens and we took a yoga class. And it was so freaking beautiful in Steamboat Springs, where there's mountains. And this botanical garden is this magical freaking garden, and people just take such care of it. And there's flowers and this beautiful pond and this huge umbrella that looks like a giant mushroom. And then you're outside practicing yoga in nature. And I remember at first I was very self-conscious, and I was worried about my breath. I was worried about this, and I was worried about that. And I was having all of these horrible judgment moments because it was my first time, and it was mostly me judging myself. Let's get real. And I remember, though, there was this moment, right? You're in beautiful outside in nature, and I look over, and I just see this beautiful flower that's over by the water. And I look at the flower and I feel like the flower. I look at the flower and I feel like I'm the flower. The flower is me. There's no difference between me and the flower. There's no difference between me and nature. There's no difference between me and any of this. And it was that was my first moment, I feel of pure presence, or call it enlightenment or whatever it is, that I was able to get out of that anxious fear state of being. And I was able to be present. And then that's where my journey with yoga began. It began there. And then I started taking yoga with Adrienne courses. And I love her. She's amazing. And she is crushing it, hardcore. I think she's at something crazy. Last time I checked, 11.1 million subscribers, which is amazing. Good job, Yoga with Adrienne. And I'm so excited because this is something that I'm learning, is to be freaking grateful for where I am. And I just arrived at 317 subscribers. Woohoo! Celebrate on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelley. We have to celebrate those times because those are the moments where we can compare ourselves hard and be like, oh my gosh, yoga with Adrienne is doing so amazing. Like she's been out for like 8 or 9 years. I've been doing this for 4. And the thing is we're not here to compare ourselves to other people. Like I'm showing up on this journey, on this path, because I love what I do and I love helping people heal on deeper levels. And I have been on this journey with yoga that has really helped awaken these deeper aspects of myself that I never knew was possible. And I even remember when I took my training 4 years ago, and I had been practicing yoga for 4 years, and I was just like mind blown about the context and the information that we were learning. It was like, what? This is one of the books, actually, the Bhagavad Gita, that if you're watching, that I actually haven't started reading again, but it's this translation. This one is a different one. I'm reading this one. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. It's introduced and translated by Eknath Eastwarn. I'm working on. It's a classic of Indian spirituality. And the sutras, the yoga sutras, the yamas, the niyamas, just all of the things that you learn in yoga are just so much more than what I thought. Because what I thought was, yes, I'm going to go and I'm going to become a better yogi. I'm going to learn how to teach a full class, which I did. I learned how to teach a whole class, but I also learned how to do this like deeper dive with myself, which has been this ongoing healing journey. And that's why I'm here showing up. I love this. I love exploring spirituality. And before all of this, like before my spiritual journey, I was very, I was wishy-washy in religion and spirituality. And you could read more in my book, Awaken You, From Pain to Healing, A Woman's Way of Waking Up to Her Life. I have lots of stories and things in my book where I talk about that. But yoga has really allowed me permission, like defining or not defining myself as a yogi or not. It's allowing me to just show up as myself, to be authentic, to be in whatever state that I am, that I don't have to long for one thing or another thing, that I can just truly be freaking me. Because I did have this false perception too for a while that being a yogi and on a spiritual path, that I was always going to be enlightened, or that I was working towards enlightenment, and that I always was going to be peaceful or blissful. And it's funny because even my son, he'll say stuff like that, like, Mom, not everyone is sitting on a cloud oming all day. I'm like, okay, let's get real. I'm not sitting on a cloud oming all day. Like, yeah, I love to sit on a cloud and om all day. But the reality is I have a home, I have a husband, I have 4 kids. I have 4 kids. I say 4 kids, and that's probably because my husband is like a kid. I have 3 physical kids, but if you're married, you might know what I'm talking about. 2 dogs. I have just like such this passion to create, and I'm so multifaceted that I have just a lot of things going on. So yeah, I would love to meditate and practice yoga all of the time, but it doesn't always work out like that. And I do try to make it a sense to at least 3 to 5 days a week unroll my mat, get on my mat. And even if it's highly distracted by my children or my dogs, that I'm freaking unrolling my mat. And something I'm learning too is a lot of the times I'll sit up here in my living space and practice, but then my mind is looking around the house like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. So what I've been doing is making myself get down into the basement where we have a designated workout space. Like, hello, you think this would be something that's so simple, but I don't always do it. Sometimes it's like harder, which is so weird to get down there. But once I'm down there, I feel better, because this is really amazing, is that our brains, they really connect with certain things, just like our bedroom. Like our bedroom is our sleep space. So if we create this lovely sleep sanctuary, we're going to go in there and be like, this is where I sleep. This is where I have connecting time with my partner. But if we have like a TV in our room, our mind's going to also connect that with TV, and it's going to be more awakening, and we're going to have a hard time falling asleep at night. And same with me, like practicing yoga, unrolling my mat and getting either outside or going downstairs, is that I feel like I can more detach myself. And that's why sometimes it's really great to take a class and go with a community of yogis or practicers of yoga, which can also be really intimidating. Like if you're newer to the practice, it can be really intimidating. I've been practicing for 8 years now, and sometimes same thing. And it was interesting because I had this vision because of this lovely experience I had at Steamboat, that I wanted to teach yoga in the park here in Estes Park. And I set everything up. I actually had to make like a resume, which I hadn't made in so many years. And I had to have a job interview, which was really funny. And I got the job and I got the gig and I wrote up the thing. And the class is supposed to be coming T-minus in 4 days, but I only had 2 people sign up for the class. And we needed 5 people to make it happen. So the class got canceled. And I was sad at first. And then I realized that I kind of put up this block because I told myself years ago that I would never work for anyone else, that I never wanted to work for anyone. And this job would be through the community center up here in Estes, which is an awesome space. My kids do lots of sports and fun things through there, but subconsciously I like sabotaged myself and I put up this block. And I'm realizing now, like, oh yeah, because I put that intention out that I never wanted to work for anyone again, that I want to be my own boss, my own creator. I want to be in charge of my schedule. I want to either be able to work from home or choose what I'm doing. And all of this is just kind of like rounding back, and I'm realizing, like that if I want to make this class a reality, which I still can, and even if it's just those 2 people and maybe a neighbor, that I can create this in my own backyard. And so that's what I'm going to do. And again, that with the whole mass number, sometimes I feel like I get so caught up in like having multi followers and things, because that's what the world is like telling us, that you need to be a success. You need to have like hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers. And I don't know if that resonates as much with me. Like I've never been the type of person that has like a million friends. I've been more of like a 1 or 2 super close friends kind of person. And it's okay. It's the same with like my followers and my people. Something that I have been working on is it's not always like more is more, right? Does that saying even resonate? Like less is more? Because when we're with smaller amounts of people, it's way more one-on-one. And I'm going through like my master's in yoga, my 300-hour teacher training now. And I'm learning all of these new things and new adjustments. And if you have a big group of people with like 20 or 30 people, the most people I've ever taught, I think, is 22 in a group. It's really hard to get to everyone with all of the adjustments, because if I do an adjustment, say you're in Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, with your left foot pointing forward with your knee bent towards like having that knee over the ankle, and then right foot steps back with toes facing long edge of the mat. I'm trying to get a cue here. I'm cueing you audio. And then right hips opening up to the long edge of the mat, arms splay long and strong. And right, if I'm putting someone in this pose and I'm doing these adjustments, I have to adjust this person on this side and then cue them to adjust on the other side. And what I'm learning in my training is that we want to go through like each person in the class. And if there's 22 people, there's no way I will have time to physically adjust for every single person in the class. But what I can have time for is verbal adjustments, which is really cool. I'm learning this and I'm really excited. And it's so interesting too, because over the last 4 years, I have been teaching online on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly, which used to be Awaken You. Not Awaken You, that's my book. It used to be Yoga Bliss with Shelly. And I'm so freaking grateful that even when life was hard with my kids and anxiety, like I have been working through a lot of anxiety and learning like so many different coping mechanisms. And I'm so freaking proud of myself for like persevering, because many years ago, like that wouldn't have been the case. I would have just been in this frantic state. And But getting up and teaching every week, and we're sharing, like I just got done before this, sharing an amazing sound healing meditation, which actually I'm going to pause for a moment here. I have, here it is for a birthday gift. One of my birthday gifts from my lovely sisters is a solar plexus chakra crystal healing bowl, and it's white quartz. So I'm going to give you just a few vibrations. How amazing is that? I'm like so in love. All of the feelings. I love this. And so this is for our Manipura chakra, which is attached to our thumb in our fingers. And our solar plexus is a space like right below our breasts or our pecs and above the belly button. And that is the solar plexus, right? And it is our fire element. It is attached to our digestion, our sense of sight, our inner strength and our willpower, and also like our worth, like our self-worth, our confidence. And right, this is the space that a lot of us block. I think so many of us women block the solar plexus because we don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we're deserving. We don't feel good enough. And we don't feel smart enough. And then we trap a lot of things. And what we can do is with sound healing vibration, we can legitimately lay and surrender and just be with. That's why I love things like healing modalities when it comes to like crystals and Reiki and meditation. It's things that, I mean, yes, we have to be open, and we do need to have that intention that we are open to healing the space, because if we're completely closed and blocked in this space, that can be harder. But with help of these lovely vibrations, these sounds, we can help heal ourselves on deeper levels. And crystals are so incredible because they don't ask for anything in return. They're just like this loving, amazing conduit. And the healing bija mantra of the solar plexus is Ram. And I'm going to do 3 of those chants as well as with the singing bowl. And you can just kind of close your eyes for a moment and settle in. So lovely. And this is something I have recently just learned too, is in mantra, the most powerful space of mantra is actually that freaking pause. So it's in between the sound vibration. And so why mantra is so powerful is that mantra is like a frequency shift, just like this. Frequency. It changes your frequency, right? It's like realigning. That sound is healing. And this was something interesting I've learned recently too. If we were to listen to static, yucky sound, like say you're trying to tune into the radio and it's that static sound, that it just gets so annoying that we change it. And if we listen to that for long enough, actually the vibration of that could legitimately kill us because it's such a low vibrational yucky. And the same thing that goes with like these amazing crystal singing bowls, Tibetan singing bowls, any sound healing vibration, is that these are innately healing. And that if we're sick or having a hard time with our immune system or our digestion, like acid reflux, indigestion, these sound vibrations actually have been proven, right, to help heal us on these levels. Like whenever my kids get sick or I get sick, I honestly usually go to YouTube. I could just sit here and play this all day, which I probably will, and put on healing frequencies. And the healing frequencies have been known to heal. I interviewed actually I'm trying to think of what podcast it was. I've had a few podcasts in the making. It was probably like my second podcast when I did Yoga Bliss with Shelly. Her name is Misa Hopkins, and she wrote The Root of All Healing. And she shared in her book that she sliced her finger open and it needed stitches, but she decided that she didn't want to get stitches, and she did sound vibrational healing. And within 24 hours, her wound that needed stitches had closed and was like healing, because she constantly for 24 hours was doing healing vibrations, like freaking powerful. So just think about that. Like when you're sick or down in the dumps or just having those hard, anxious times, like what are you exposing yourself to, like musically wise and also thought wise? Like what are your thoughts thinking? If our thoughts are continuing to tell us everything that's going wrong, and it just takes us down. Like when our thoughts are just pummeling us. Like I know, so I can tell in people, like people who suffer with anxiety daily, like I do myself too, but I can tell it's the way that we're thinking that's leading our way. And a powerful practice is an affirmation practice. And I journal every day. Like, yes, I'm a writer, and yes, I freaking love writing. It is like one of my love languages. But I learned from actually Bob Proctor, who is amazing, and he wrote the ABCs of Success over here on my desk, and The Art of Living. And he was deemed America's prosperity coach, and he was an amazing soul, and he opened me up to so many things, him and Louise Hay as well, about changing the way that I think. And right, that goes in alignment with like what makes a yogi a yogi, or what makes an aware person. I think too, like part of being a yogi is like being a mindful, aware human of what is happening inside of us. And sometimes that is accepting what is going on, like accepting, right? Accepting ourselves for who we are, accepting our body as it is the way that it is. I know so many of us struggle with this, like accepting our life the way it is while we try and strive to make it better, because I know that I am like a busy go-getter, inspirer, and I always like want to be growing and changing and doing things. And I think some people can look at that as like thinking that I'm never content. And it doesn't mean that I'm not content, because I can be so freaking content with just sitting and looking at a tree and loving that tree. But it's just like the tree too. The tree is just constantly evolving and changing and growing and flowing. And like for me, like part of being a yogi is embracing that growth aspect of myself and embracing myself's flaw. Myself's, I say myself's because, right, we all do have this like heart-centered part of us, and then this ego part of us. It's that part of us that's like irrational, judgy, like the me showing up on the yoga mat in Steamboat Springs. Instead of trying to be peaceful, I was like, self-sabotage, Shelley, don't sabotage yourself. There's like so many things that can make us who we are as a person. And I think the biggest thing is labels kind of trash everything. Even the label of what a yogi is. I have this dear, dear friend who actually trained me doing hair when I did hair. So I stopped doing hair 4 years ago. I did hair for 14 years. 18 years ago. And she came to my first book club, and she has done hair forever and a day, like probably 25 years, and is an amazing hairstylist. And she also took her yoga teacher training before I took my teacher training. I thought it was so cool. And I think she even trained on paddleboard yoga, which kind of scares the shit out of me, but is also amazing. Really cool. Maybe I need to try that. And she told my sister that she longs to teach yoga, but she hasn't taught yoga because of the shape of her body and because she's gained weight and she doesn't feel confident in her body. So she thinks that she can't share her love for yoga. And it breaks my freaking heart so much, because that label, the maybe misperceived image of what a yogi is maybe what, like a tall, super slender female or male, like doing arm and handstands and just like super duper flexible. And I share today to help break that myth, because being a yogi is not that. Being a yogi is not being inside of this box and being a certain way. I've met so many amazing people who practice yoga who are nothing like any of that. And so I am here to I always do this with my kids at night when they're having like scary, yucky bedtime thoughts and dreams. And we grab like in the eye of our mind, we close our eyes and grab a giant like swimming pool filled with white paint, and we take it and we splash the screen of our mind and what's happening, and we clear that, and then we paint a new image of what a yogi is and what it means. And maybe that can mean just start like putting symbols. Like to me, the Om symbol comes up, like maybe breath, ethers, earth, air, wind, fire, heart reflection. I'm getting goosebumps right now. Just being our authentic selves, no matter what color, shape, size, gender that you are. That being a yogi or being somebody who practices maybe just the asana part of yoga, that you don't have to fit into this box, just like anything in this world. Like there's not this box. I have always been like a tester and an outsider of the box. I remember when I did hair and we were taught to formulate hair color, and we were told to do it this way, this way, and this way, but it never resonated with me. I thought, no, I'm going to do this, this, this. And I became amazing at it. And I remember I went on my maternity leave, and a lot of girls like had to take over my clients and were like, oh my gosh, I was so scared to use your formulas, because I would put all these colors, these different pigments in and just get these beautiful, vibrant colors. But I like at like a deeper, like intuitive level, like knew what I was doing. And it was way outside of the box. I like had broken the box open. And I've always been that way, just like redefining what things are and not even defining them at all, just embodying what things are. So being a freaking yogi is being a true follower of yourself and your heart, and freaking showing up and being who you are with no apologies. We don't need to apologize about everything. I've noticed it so much in our culture lately, between my friends and my kids and even my sisters and my nephews and nieces, and the amount of times that I hear the word sorry almost like angers me. I have been telling this to my kids lately, is that there's a time to be sorry for something. If you go out of your way and you hurt someone's feelings and you're just being like mean to be mean and hurtful because something's going on with you, that is a great opportunity to be sorry. But if you accidentally bump into somebody at the store, or accidentally spill a cup of water, like you don't have to say sorry. You could say, oh, excuse me, like clean that up. I think that I'm sorry has such a low freaking vibration, and it's taking away a lot of confidence from people, like from that solar plexus, that Manipura chakra that we just did that little sound healing bath with. And I think just like choosing new ways of thinking about things and approaching things. So notice it in yourself if you can. Notice, because I even notice it in myself too, sometimes saying sorry. And you don't need to be freaking sorry for who you are, because who you are is amazing. You're an amazing human who is perfectly imperfect just the way that you are. And you don't need to freaking apologize for yourself, because you were put on this planet to do your heart work. And being sorry is like stealing that away from us. It's like cementing us in that ego part of ourselves. And we no longer need to be sorry for who we are. There, I said it. So being a yogi is somebody who is not sorry for who they are. Being a yogi is someone who can embody their heart selves and tapping into like that intuition, that third eye, that Anya chakra. It is listening to ourselves. I think the first time I really started listening to my intuition, so I think since being a kid, was being a mom. I just knew things about my babies. I just would know what they needed. And then the more I've delved into a spiritual practice and just being open to my intuition, the more I can be open to being guided. And this was a really amazing exercise that I learned in Lisa Sasovich's book, You Were Meant for More, that I've talked about like a million times, and I will still talk about it. It's a freaking awesome book. There's this exercise in her book, and it's you communicating with your source. So whether it's the universe or source energy or God or the divine, whatever is your higher power, is that you have an intuitive, like, handwriting prompt with source energy. And you can just start with like a small breath practice, just breathing into your heart, exhaling it out, and do that a few times. Maybe shake off whatever's happening and get a journal and a pen and just write, hello, source energy, or hello, universe. And you can just start scribing like, I've been struggling with this, or I really am feeling called to do this, but I don't know how to get there. And then just see what happens. And sometimes the ego does get in the way and you'll write a few things, but I will tell you, I did that exercise and it like gives me freaking goosebumps. Like insane goosebumps. I wonder if I have it written down. I will totally share it with you if I can find it. I have like so many journals that are like filled with writing. I would have to find it a different time, but it is power freaking full. Like to do that exercise and allow yourself permission to tap in. And right, that's connected to the Swahasrara chakra, which is the crown chakra. It like connects us to the universe, to our creator, whatever creator that resonates with you. It allows us to be intuitive. And I think it's something that we get so turned off from because of phones, technology, and media and social media. Because I see this in kids a lot too. It's like kids nowadays are so reliant on their phones, and it is so unhealthy. My husband took me out for like a birthday celebration dinner the night before my birthday. And we went to this super yummy Mexican restaurant, super delicious chips and salsa. I was with my kids and my husband, and I look over and there's a mom and her son, and they are both just sitting on their freaking phones. They're eating their chips and salsa, scrolling through their phones. And I look over and I was like, oh my God, it breaks my heart. And also reaffirms to me why I made a rule of no freaking screens whatsoever while we're eating. No, no, no. And then their food comes and I'm like, oh, sure enough, they're going to put down their devices. No, they are still scrolling on their device. And then the son puts his device down for a few minutes and he's eating, looking out the window, and the mom is still on her device. And it like made me want to cry. I just had so much pain in my heart for this moment of like just going out to dinner, like where the mom or the son didn't have to make the food and they couldn't even fully show up for each other. So a way that we can help, like whatever your definition of yogi or undefining or redefining what a yogi or a yogic path or a spiritual path means, is to disconnect. Like we have to disconnect from our devices to connect to our heart selves, because it's stealing our presence. Like it makes me want to bawl. And a lot of people might think I'm crazy. I think I'm like really strong for this, is that my kids do not have phones and I am not getting them phones anytime soon. Like I said, maybe 16 when they're driving. And then I thought, They don't even need phones when they're 16. When I was 16, my little sister and I, she was 13 at the time, I was 16. We drove with MapQuest directions from Fort Collins, Colorado to Kansas. We stayed the night in a really dingy, gross motel. And then we drove to Prague, Oklahoma, all by ourselves, only payphones, only like MapQuest directions. And we did it. Like, I see it happening so much. And we have to learn how to just like sit and be. Like, can you just sit and be? Have you ever gone out to a restaurant with someone? Or even if you're sitting at a park and you have time to yourself, is your like inclination to grab your phone and to check? Or can you just sit? Can you just sit in the silence, sit without trying to do and just be? That is a really hard practice. This has been something that I've been working at a lot, and I am a very busy person, and I think it's just like a transmutation of anxiety, and like I always need to be doing something or organizing or cleaning or working or making malas or even reading books or writing. And I've been making myself just like be and sit, which even if it's like watching a movie with my kids at night, like I have a really hard time with that. And I have to make myself, but it's a practice. It's not a perfect. I'm making myself learn how to find like calm and relaxation, which is something that practicing yoga and having a spiritual practice, like here I go again, making fun of myself. Like we need to not be so hard on ourselves. That's another thing is like, don't be so freaking hard on yourself. Like you're just a person and we all mess up. We all have these moments of like being a tyrant or mean and angry and saying something that we don't really mean to our family members. And then we're like, oh, that I didn't even mean that. And those are the moments of, it's like Buddha said that it's like, was it Buddha or the Dalai Lama? I can't remember exactly, but it's like, when you're right, keep silent. When you're wrong, admit it. Oh, that is a hard practice for me, but it's a practice also that when I'm aware, I try it and I do it. And it is hard to like bite your tongue when you want to be so right, especially if it's with like your spouse. Like I've been with my husband for almost 20 years. And sometimes I just want to like, blah, and I struggle with that. And right, being a yogi or a spiritual whatever is being human and allowing. And it's like letting go of the confines of what we think we need to be, right? And it's embracing ourselves for who we are, flaws and all. It's like stepping into the discomfort. And for me too, like a huge part of my spiritual path and my yogic path is healing. And it's being open to healing on whatever level that comes to me. And I really believe in that saying that as the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's so true. Like different things come, like just like my beautiful crystal singing bowl. Like now I'm like opening to these new different kinds of sound healing modalities because I always wanted to play like a musical instrument and wasn't very musical. Like I love to sing. I think singing is lovely, but never like I always wanted to play the guitar or whatever, but just piano and never really did. And now I'm shifting that. And it's like, I don't have to be the alleged musical person to be a sound healer. That my intention is to help heal myself and help heal others with a vibration of crystals. And it's so cool because I've been working with crystals for like 4 years, but like to actually make that healing sound vibration with crystals, it's like a whole new thing. And I'm very, very grateful for it. Exhale it out. I'm so grateful for you, my lovely soul sisters and my beautiful friends. And thank you so much for showing up here with me. Like I freaking wrap my arms around you. And I really hope that you are enjoying this content that I'm providing. I'm just showing up as me and I'm putting myself out here. And please head over to iTunes and leave Awaken You with Shelly Bond a 5-star rating and a review. I would love reviews. Come on, reviews. You can just tell me what you're loving and what you want more of. Like, is there anything that you're like, Shelly, expand on that? You know, I love to chat it up. I'm a chatter. I'm all the things. I love it. I love to delve in all of the things. So I'm not just, I'm not linear. It's like everywhere. And please, if you haven't already, you can pick up a copy of Awaken You by Shelley Bond on Amazon, and you just put in Awaken You, Shelley Bond on Amazon. It'll pop up. It's a lovely book for $15.55. Please share this episode with people that you love or people that you think could need it, because that's what I'm all about, is sharing. It's like this spider web. It's funny. I just heard the other day, and I feel like I hear it all the time, people saying, gosh, it's such a small world. And it's not that it's a small world, but our spirits are just like intertwined and like this spiderweb connection with other spirits. And we need to be connected to certain spirits, right? For a reason. Like we have this like soul purpose. And also, my lovelies, I'm really excited and just feeling so grateful for my YouTube channel, Awaken You Healing Center with Shelley. You can head over there where I'm just posting lots of inspired. I have a ton of yoga classes and just a lot of different things that I've been sharing lately that I am just loving. I'm really just grateful for that space too. And I'm posting still on Instagram under Awaken You, Shelley Bond, and also on Facebook, Shelley Bond. I freaking love you. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you a hug. And knowing, right, that being a yogi doesn't have to be all of those things, that it's creating a new image, or like being on this spiritual path is whatever you choose for it to mean, right? So grab onto what resonates, whatever doesn't, let it go, send it away, click it away. One of my beautiful soul sisters recently told me that when you click, you can kind of like let yucky stuff go. So if something isn't resonating, get it out of here. Goodbye. Well, I love you, and I will be back here hanging out with you next week. So much love, my friends.